Good evening, friends. Hope you all are doing good. So, yesterday we have seen the chapter about air. Okay. Today we are going to see the next chapter of 7th standard NCERT. It is all about water. So, friends, when we say water, the first thing which comes in front of us or in front of eyes is a huge sea or a rainfall or let us say a river near your house. But I don't think so. Nowadays rivers are very dirty, so rivers may be coming into your in front of your eyes or not. I don't know. But most of you may remember this rainfall and sea. So friends, when we say water, you must understand that overall quantity of water on the surface of earth is always constant. So millions of years, same water is recirculating and recirculating on the surface of Earth. Though every year there is a rainfall, it is not a new water which is being added. Okay, so it is old water. Okay, which is just recirculating in the atmosphere. Okay, so that's why overall quantity of water is always constant. Okay, on the surface of Earth, and the same water does not fall in the same region through rainfall. For example, today or this season monsoon you have right now, this water which is falling in the form of monsoon might have flown as a water in the Amazon River in the South America. There it has been evaporated and then it became cloud, or through winds it might have traveled to the India some few million years ago, and still it is happening. So water is a constant thing, like it's constant. It is no new water is being added. It is recycled, and the same water is not being fallen or given to the same area over a period of time. So might be the water in the Africa is coming to the India in the form of evaporation and clouds. Water from India is going to the China, it is going to Japan, it is going to America. So that is why it is very, very important to keep the water clean, to keep the air clean, because they are known as global commons. So today the air you are breathing is not necessary is constantly on the Indian subcontinent. It is coming somewhere from the China. So if there you have a pollution, you will breathe that air pollution. So that is why it is very, very important to keep these five elements: earth, water, air, and let us forget about other two. But earth, water, and air are very important elements which needs to be kept very, very clean. Okay, because that continuously recycles, change their places, and goes to the different areas. Okay, so when I'm talking about water, water is traveling, or water is running through a cycle called as a water cycle. Okay, so water cycle, as I have said, the overall quantity of water, okay, remains constant. The same amount of water is present through billions and trillions of years on the surface of the earth. So this water cycle is nothing but this process of water continuously changing its form. Okay, so the water is, initially it was a liquid water in the oceans. It became water vapor. Okay, it became gaseous in the form of water vapor. Then it fell somewhere on the Himalayas in the form of snowfall, so it became solid. So water keeps its form changing, it keeps its place changing, and this entire thing of changing in its form and place and its overall circulation is known as water cycle. So water cycle, when I'm saying, so how it changes its form. So for example, let us understand this through an example of various stakeholders in the water cycle. So what are the stakeholders in the water cycle? The first biggest stakeholder is the ocean. Second is atmosphere. Third is earth. Fourth is we can say biosphere. So first let us say ocean. So in the ocean, huge amount of water is present. So when it is being evaporated, it goes into the atmosphere. In atmosphere, it travels in the form of clouds. When it travels in the form of clouds, it goes down in the form of precipitation and accumulated by the plants. So plant bodies store huge amount of water. Then it goes into the, let us say, in the earth. So soil and earth also stores the huge amount of water. So same water from the ocean is going to the Himalayas. There it is becoming the ice. Same ice is melting, is becoming the river and coming into the lakes and again going back to the ocean. So in this way, water is being circulated. Plants also do evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration means what? Because of the sunlight, the pores on the leaves open, and when they open, water evaporates from these leaves. So huge amount of water is trillions and trillions of liters of water are being released by the plants every year. So they are also a huge source of water. Plants also, that's why, add up into the overall rainfall on the surface of the earth. If evapotranspiration is not there, you will have sufficiently less amount of rainfall. If plants are not there, you will have very sufficiently low amount of water in the biosphere as well as in the lithosphere. Getting it? So this is a overall cycle of water circulation. Okay. So let us understand some important points. So March 22 is celebrated as International Water Day or World Water Day. So very important, March 22. Now friends, let us understand that water is present in a different ways in a different sources. For example, in a sea, it is present a very in the form of salty water. Okay, so why this water is salty? Because some oceanic salt are dissolved into the seawater. Okay, so this oceanic salt which is dissolved into the seawater is calculated in terms of parts per thousand. So how many parts of water is dissolved into, how many parts of salt is dissolved into 1,000 grams of water. So this is said as PPT or parts per thousand. So how much amount of salts are dissolved into the 1,000 grams of water, we are calling it as a parts per thousand or PPT. So salinity is mentioned in terms of PPT. So that we are going to see, definitely this topic will again come in a much detailed manner. Okay, salinity of the oceanic water. Then we'll see thermocline, halocline, and so many things that we are going to see. So here we must understand from MCQ point of view, there are very important sentences in this chapter. So first is average salinity of the ocean on the earth is 35 ppt or 35 parts per thousand. Dead Sea, if we see this, if we consider the sea, so which is the most saline sea on the earth, so it is a Dead Sea. Its salinity is 340 grams per liters of the water. So 340 grams per liters of the water. So here life cannot sustain in the Dead Sea. Because of the very high salinity, it is very difficult for the fishes, it is very difficult for the algas and other oceanic plants to sustain in the Dead Sea. That's why this Dead Sea, very less amount of biodiversity is there in the Dead Sea, because huge amount of salt dissolved in the oceanic water. So oceanic water, one of the function of the oceanic water is also density. So density also increases when dissolved salt increases. So density is directly proportional to the dissolved salt into the oceanic water. So you can see in the Red Sea, this Red Sea is Dead Sea is very famous for the tourism point of view. Why? Because people just read the newspaper in just lying over the Dead Sea water. They will not drawn into the water. Why they don't get drawn and they just can float? The sea water just can keep the people floating. If they, even if they don't try to float on the water or don't try to swim on the water, they will just float on the water. Why this will happen? Because the density of the Dead Sea is very high. Because of that, this increased salt concentration is making people or swimmers float on this water. So that's why Dead Sea is very famous for this type of tourism. If you go to the Israel, specifically, you will enjoy this type of floating on the Dead Sea. Even people take some mud bath and so many things are famous around this Dead Sea. Okay, so this is a very important thing about the oceanic water. Now, friends, let us understand when we say oceanic water, this oceanic water is not a stable thing. It is continuously under the movement. In some form, it moves here and there. Okay. So as we know, these overall distribution of water bodies, if you consider, okay. So if we let us understand what is the volume of water held by which source in the atmosphere or in the oceanic or in the oceans or on the lithosphere. So first huge amount of water is, let us say, we can say 98% of the water or 97% of the water is in the oceans. Getting it? So this 97% of the water is the ocean. Then you have second is ice caps. So remaining, so this oceanic water is nothing but a salty water. Ice cap, you have fresh water. Okay, so ice cap, second thing is a fresh water. Then third like say major source of water is the groundwater. So groundwater is the third source of water. Then these groundwater, okay, first you have ocean which is very salty water, ice cap is a fresh water, groundwater is also very fresh water. Then from this groundwater, if we see the next source of water, then we can see lakes. So lakes, we can see this sweetwater lakes that we have, like you have one in Hyderabad. It is one of the lakes. So they are the fourth largest source of water. After the fourth largest source of water, then you have some inland seas. Inland seas, like you have this, let us say, Caspian Sea. It's an inland sea. So the fifth source of water is a inland sea. Getting it? Then from here, next source of water is atmosphere. Because of the evaporation, huge amount of water is there in the atmosphere. And after the last, we can say, are the rivers. So in this way, you have a different sources of water. First is you have ocean, then you have ice caps, then you have a groundwater, then you have lakes, then you have inland seas, then from there you have atmosphere, and last one is the rivers. So in this way, water is distributed in different sources. Getting it? Okay. So now, when I am saying it is distributed in different sources, they don't remain constant. Okay, they keep on moving through water cycles. Okay, last source of last let us say the destination of water, we can say biosphere, like in the bodies of you and me. So we have the least amount of water stored in the bodies of plants, in the bodies of animals, in the bodies of human beings, in the bodies of other microorganisms. Okay, so in this way distribution of water bodies take place. Okay, now friends, as I'm talking about the, let us talk about the huge source of water, that is ocean. When I'm talking about ocean, oceanic water is continuously in the movement. It is not a stable like a lake water or in the pond, like you have a stable water. Though on the surface oceanic water may remain look like a stable, but it is a never stable thing. It keeps on continuously moving. So oceanic water, there are three movements of the oceanic water. So that is called as oceanic circulation. So oceanic circulation is of three types. Okay. So first is in the form of waves. So here waves are nothing but a circular movement of the water molecule. Then you have a tide. Tide is nothing but a vertical and downward movement of a water molecule. Then you have a currents. Currents is nothing but a horizontal movement of the water molecule. So in three ways, this oceanic water circulation is continuously going on. So first you have a wave, then you have a tide, and third one The horizontal movement is called as a oceanic currents. Now, let us understand this thing in little detail. Okay. So when we say waves, okay, waves are nothing but circular movement of the oceanic water. So here, uh, of energy of the wind and gravitational pull of the earth plays very important role. Now, how does it play the important role? So, for example, this is a calm oceanic water. Now, wind starts blowing very fast. Wind started blowing very fast. So because of this fast speed of the wind, there is a friction between the surface of the seawater and the wind. This friction, this huge speed of the wind and the high energy in that speed transfers energy on the surface of the sea. Getting it? So the energy content into the wind gets transferred to the oceanic water, and this oceanic water molecule, okay, because of it gets this energy, it rotates. Okay, it travels in a circular manner, and when it comes back, because of the pulling of the gravity, it again comes back. So it transfers this energy to the next molecule over here. This again goes on into the circle, again comes back to its own place. So in this way, these oceanic waves go on going bigger and bigger and bigger. Getting it? So in this way, in waves, oceanic water actually does not travel. Just water molecule just rotates. They rotates on the same place. This is known as waves. Okay. Now, second thing is you have is tide. So if you understood these waves, second thing is a tide. Tide occurs because of the vertical pulling and pushing of the forces by the sun. So you have vertical pull and push by the sun and moon. Okay. So this is the oceanic water. So now moon is over here. Because of the pulling of the gravitational pull of the moon, this water will rise rhythmically and it will fall down. Getting it? This is called as a tide. So guys, these tides are the result of the gravitational pull of a moon and sun. So as you know that sun is farther away and moon is closer, so moon exerts more gravitational pull than the sun. But both of them are very very important for the tide formation. So the highest tides occur when the sun and moon are in the straight line with each other. So this happens. So for example, this is the sun, this is a moon, and this is the earth. So now the pulling of both exerts huge pressure on the water, and they gives rise to the tide. The big tides, they are known as spring tides. So when sun, moon and earth, they are in a straight line. So this happens twice in a month. One is on the full moon day, another is on the new moon day. So this is known as spring tide. So tide is generally higher, high tide is generally higher than the normal tide. That's why you are calling it as a spring tide. Now, second important tide that you have is a low tide or neap tide. So neap tide occurs when sun, moon and earth, they are in right angle with each other. So for example, this is earth, this is the sun and this is the moon. Now they are making this right angle with each other. So because of this, the forces, gravitational forces are being cancelled and low tides are lower than the normal low tides. So you are calling it as a neap tides. So these are the two types of very important tides. Okay, so we are going to see these types of tides when it is going to come in the next few chapters. So you have two types of tides, spring tides and neap tide. Third way of movement of the water is the oceanic current. So oceanic current is nothing but a horizontal movement of oceanic water. So how this horizontal movement occurs and why this horizontal movement occurs? So this horizontal movement occurs because of the certain factors like a temperature of the ocean. Somewhere like on the equator it is very very high, on the poles it is very very low. So on the equator water expands and travels towards the pole. On the pole water sinks because of very cold, and to replace that sinking water the warm water from the equator travels towards pole, and this gives rise to the ocean currents. So ocean currents are nothing but a horizontal traveling of the oceanic water. So these oceanic water are traveling horizontally. Here actually water is traveling. Like in the waves, water, it looks like water is traveling, but water is not traveling. Okay. In the tides, it is just rising up and going down. But in the currents, it is actually traveling from one place to another place. So there are different types of currents. The basic classification is cold current and warm current. Cold current are cold, they travel little subsurface. Warm current are warm, their temperature is higher, they travel on the surface. So where you have very high temperature like equatorial region, there you always have a warm currents. Where you have a very low temperature like poleward region, there you have always cold current. So you have two types of currents, warm currents and cold currents. So they keep on traveling from one region to another region. These things we are going to see in detail. So when these cold currents and warm current, when they meet with each other, it becomes very good ground for the fishes, because these cold current are little subsurface current, so they bring good nutrient from the subsurface region to the on the surface. Warm currents, because of the temperature is little higher, it creates a very good ground for the multiplication of the algas, and incubation temperature is also good for the fishes for the more growth. So that's why when cold current and warm current, when they meet with each other, that becomes very good fishing ground. Also in that region, fog, occurrence of fog is very very high. So very foggy grounds are being uh, grounds occur where you have meeting of cold and warm currents. Because of that, lots of accidents of ships happen in this region where cold and warm currents are meeting. So for example, Labrador is a cold current in the North Atlantic Ocean near this Canada. Okay, near Canada in the Atlantic Ocean you have Labrador current, and there it is a cold current, and then you have a North Atlantic drift, okay, which is coming from the North Equatorial Atlantic Ocean. So it is traveling further in the north, and Labrador current is traveling further south. So when these two currents meet, okay, near Newfoundland, so it becomes very good fishing ground. Also, lots of fog occur in this region. So you might have heard about Titanic. So Titanic sunk in that region where actually these two currents are meeting with each other. Okay, so this is about three different types of movements of the oceanic water in the form of waves, tides, and currents. Okay, so I hope you guys have understood. Then, when we are talking about movements of the oceanic water, we hear this word tsunami. Tsunami is a Japanese word which means harbor waves, because when they come they destroy the entire harbor. So it is called as a tsunami or harbor waves. So it is a reason, it is not a normal occurrence, it is a sudden occurrence. And why does it occur? It occur because of either a disaster like earthquake, volcanic eruption, landslide. Okay, because of that the oceanic basin shifts. So you have oceanic basin, because of the earthquake it shifts upward. When it shifts, the water from this region, okay, flows this water from this region, okay, sorry, water from this region flows into this region, and huge waves occur in this region. Because of that you have a tsunami. So they travel, the highest tsunami till recorded is 150-meter high, and they travel like 700 kilometer per hour. So the 2004 tsunami, which came into the India on the coastal region of Tamil Nadu, okay, it happened because the earthquake occurred near the Sumatra, and the earthquake was 9.0 Richter scale. So It traveled up to 800 kilometer per hour. So with this huge speed it traveled, and it killed almost 10,000 people in India, and almost a few lakhs people all over the world. So 10,000 people got killed in India. So that's why it is very very important. And the problem in the India was there was no early warning system in the Indian Ocean, because tsunami is not a frequent occurrence. Okay, that's why we haven't fixed any early warning system in the Indian Ocean. In the Pacific Ocean, in the Japan and all, they continuously face the earthquake. So they have fixed the early warning system. But India did not fix any early warning system. That's why we could not predict this tsunami coming. Now we have installed this early warning system on the coastal region of Andhra and Odisha and so many places. Getting it? Okay. So when earthquake occurs, we can give 3 hours notice that tsunami may occur. So this time you can get to evacuate your people on the coastal region. This could not happen in the 2004 tsunami, because suddenly when tsunami occurs, first water recedes very long. It goes back into the sea very long. So people thought it's some kind of miracle, and they all gathered to see how water is receding there. And then tsunami strike. After that, so many onlookers died there because of the huge volume of water. Getting it? So in this way, these tsunamis are very very destructive. Okay. So friends, this is all about oceanic movement of the ocean water, and the next movement is a tide that we have seen, that spring tide and half tide, neap tide. So this tides we have seen. Okay, we have seen about the tides, we have seen about the ocean currents, we have seen about the waves. I hope you have understood this. If you haven't understood this thing, please ask me the question. Okay, and definitely we are going to see this thing again and again. Okay, and in when I'll come to Hyderabad also, we'll see this in much detailed manner. Okay, so based on this, now we have MCQs. Okay, so first MCQ is the process by which water continuously changes its form and circulates between ocean, atmosphere and land is called as water cycle. Generally, the warm ocean currents originates near definitely equator because of the expansion of the water, because of the heat. It originates near equator. The rhythmic rise and fall of the oceanic water in twice a day is called as tide. So tide is nothing but a vertical rise and fall of oceanic water. That we call it as a tide. So I hope these MCQs are very very simple. You will understand this. Then you have some match the following questions. So you can think about this. Caspian Sea. Okay, what we can talk about Caspian Sea. So Caspian Sea is also called as the largest lake. Okay, what you will match with the tide? Tide means periodic rise and fall of oceanic water. Tsunami means what? Tsunami means strong seismic wave. Tsunami occurs because of strong seismic wave. Okay. Oceanic current means what? Stream of water moving through along a definite path. Okay. So huge amount of water is moving a definite path. We are calling it as a ocean currents. So I hope these are very very simple things. You will understand this. And if you have any doubt, then please ask me. Okay. So I hope guys you are reading these chapters at home and also listening to my lectures. So please listen to all the lectures, because it will help you to understand the geography, the complex lessons when I'll come to Hyderabad. Okay, in the end of this year. So it won't be very difficult for you guys. And once all the things have been half or more than half of the things are understood online, then we will focus more and more on answer writing. Okay, so please go through the chapters and through my video lectures, and if you have any doubt, then please ask me on the social media. Okay, so thank you. See you tomorrow for the next lecture.